Here come the Pelicans. With a chance to tie inside. Zion Williamson! We are tied!
Zion Williamson is right. After years of injuries, after an out-of-shape start to the season, and an embarrassing loss to the Lakers in the in-season tournament, Zion finally made his playoff debut and showed us what all the hype was about. 5 years after being drafted, the most publicized American prospect since LeBron James stole the show against LeBron, dropping 40 in a performance that nearly won the game. The Pels lost out after Zion missed the final 3 minutes with an injury, but this was a new level of play for Williamson and very much representative of why he could be an MVP-type force going forward. New Orleans actually outscored LA in Zion's minutes, but without him, they couldn't generate any decent offensive looks. So as the game progressed, the offense became more Zion-centric, and a hobbled Anthony Davis and company had few answers for Williamson. This slimmer Zion was quicker and had more lift around the rim, and that turns him into a shorter, more compact version of Giannis Antetokounmpo as a central offensive force, and we saw it in this game. When Z has space, he's too quick for most defenders. He gets really low, and once his huge frame is by you, it's basically over. But he's also agile enough to avoid contact at the last second and finish. This is at full speed off a quick dribble, and he slides around the defender who moves into him, and he's also so strong he blasts through him like he's wallpaper. So in the last 2 seasons, he's actually committed offensive fouls at nearly half the rate of Giannis because he's slippery deep in the paint with all his spins and contorting 2-foot finishes. And we saw this against LA. LeBron is sagged way off him, Zion goes right into the screen, and then look at this finish. He jumps out on the other side, but moves back to the left to twist around Davis in the air. This superpower pairs perfectly with his feel for finding soft spots and attacking them. And we saw this last year before his injury, slithering into cracks and finishing at insane angles. LeBron gives him space again here before switching that foul line screen, and this time it's a hesitation to get low into Davis and a quick 2-footed layup. And when Zion's lighter and bouncier, he has all these atypical launch angles that allow him to take off early and throw off defenders. Last season, he messed with Rudy Gobert by taking off from the foul line on a layup, and he can do this because he also has great touch near the paint. Look at these back-to-back possessions against the 7-foot Ivica Zubac, where he floats horizontally across the lane and uses 2 very different release angles, with a soft fade followed by this high-arcing, rolling flip shot. So when he's in great shape, he's too quick for forwards and centers to contain in space, but against bigs in traffic has all kinds of counters in the air with these soft flip shots at different angles. On his last play against the Lakers, he sets up a wobbling AD just to take off mid-drive and feather one over him, but at the end of the first half, he did this on a full-speed sprint off one leg to kiss it off the high glass. Last season, a healthier Zion generated 3/4 of his offense at the rim or the free throw line. That's well above Giannis's career high, which means you basically have to build the wall in the paint to stop him, which then opens up the perimeter. As he's played himself back into shape, Zion's grown as a playmaker, and the Lakers didn't sell out a ton to him in this game, but his decision-making was good for such a high-level contest. In particular, I really love how quick some of his passing decisions are, and how ready he is to punish defenses, and then he'll do it off a live dribble like this. So, if you want to send a soft double team to him, he immediately finds the vulnerable area, and that is great playmaking. And all this is huge for the future, because surrounding him with shooters will really carve up defenses who collapse a ton like this on his drives. Watch this sequence in the fourth, where he has a great isolation possession defensively against LeBron, then seems to graze his layup from behind, quickly gets up so he can create a 5-on-4 in transition, and he knows help has to come, touch passes it to Jose Alvarado, and that was an enormous three. Zion also had a big off-ball game because of that rediscovered explosiveness near the basket. CJ McCollum's dancing with the ball in the first quarter, and normally players spot up for three here, but Zion's playing to attack off the catch, spins around LeBron, then hangs right through Davis. My goodness. In the second half of the game, the Pels ran through Zion more. He swings it against pressure here, and then on the reset, Williamson turns into the roll man and has a runway to finish again. So if a defender wants to ignore him because he can't shoot, he can turn into a screener. That creates a 2-on-1 for a good shooter, and then he becomes very dangerous rumbling down the lane. You can also do stuff like this with him. He's spotting up on the wing. LeBron's not worried about him shooting, so Zion just back cuts him for another easy dunk. And then 2 minutes later, he was out in front of the play in transition, goes to the Shaq spin alley-oop lob, and few guards on earth can handle that because of his strength and explosiveness in those spots. Those plays were nice, but this one at the end of the third was peak Zion. He somehow teleports to a loose ball and elevates, all in about 0.8 of a second. That ball is like 6 feet away. He reaches for it and jumps in the same motion, splitting the two shot blockers for free throws, and that's both a heads-up play and just his freakish, unmatched athleticism. Actualized Zion is actually a fascinating off-ball player. Despite his on-ball gifts, he doesn't dominate the ball a lot, finishing in the 76th percentile in time of possession this year with his quick hitting actions. And so you can't just ignore him out there and let him build up a head of steam. And when he's in better shape like this, he can be a much more viable defender, using that athleticism to make plays and reading the game well to make important rotations, staying active, and not bleeding value on that end. And so, despite the formidable injury history and his inconsistencies with conditioning, the Zion in this game, the one we briefly saw flashes of at the beginning of last season, this is the Zion we were promised with all that draft hype. He could easily be one of the best offensive centerpieces in the league now. Heck, New Orleans had a top 10 offense last year when Brandon Ingram was injured and Zion played before Williamson's season was abruptly ended. And his playmaking and defense were at a much higher level in his first playoff game in 2024. This was such a critical test for him to pass because the Lakers have not only befuddled the Pelicans this season, but Zion has had some issues trying to brute force his way through some of the game's best shot blockers before. AD came into this one with back spasms, but this was more about Williamson's bounce and feel than anything else. His defense was also solid, and his passing could be really good in the next few years. And remember, he's only 23 years old. Joel Embiid's career didn't really even get going until he was 23 or 24, and while Zion's body presents its own set of issues, he's still really young. He's already made 2 All-Star teams, so at this point, he's really just one good, healthy offseason from the best conditioning of his NBA career, and after seeing what he looked like in his playoff debut, that might just be enough to turn Zion Williamson into a top 10 player in the world. Let me know what you think of Zion down below. Of course, he left this game with a hamstring injury, so it's yet another hurdle for him to overcome. To support us, patreon.com/thinkingbasketball is the best way. We have extra content. Our playoff stat board will be up soon, and there's a ton more. Otherwise, as always, thanks for watching, and I hope you are having a great